Hey there everybody, Nick here with Tack Drivers. Today we've got a Mossberg Patriot chambered in 350 Legend. Seems like it'd be a good round for deer as long as you got it sighted in with what you're going to use. I'm comparing 4 different cartridges and each one is going to have its own video. 124 is getting one, 145, 165, and then 180 grain up last. They're going to be filmed on a couple different days, so you might notice some changes throughout that. However, we are shooting all 4 of them through this gun. The bolt feels nice and smooth for the most part. You got your safety here, and it's also got a Sig Sauer Buckmaster's 3-9 by 40 scope on it. So we'll talk about that a little bit and what I think about that. I'll probably leave that till the end and use both this and that part for each video. And since I'm comparing 4 rounds, I will release them throughout the month. That way it's not all at once. But we're going to test it also at 4 different yardages: 25, 50, 75, and 100. Unfortunately, the range that I shoot at doesn't have the capabilities to go much further than that, but we're going to see what this thing can do. It was sighted in with 165 grain, so after that we're going to see how maybe those other cartridges differ. That being said, let's get some rounds through this thing. So what we have here is Winchester PowerPoint 180 grain. There we go. This one is a deer cartridge. It's not an FMJ like what the other 2 are. So this is definitely going to be kind of what you're going to be shooting if you're deer hunting this season. Here we have 4. Get one chambered here. Safety. And this last one. What the hell? 1, 2, 3, 4. For whatever reason, it did not chamber the round. Okay. There we're good. Whoops. Then I tried to chamber another one. Don't need to be doing shit like that. That's an idiot move on my part. So we are all loaded up. Let me tell you something. I should have put that bolt forward. There we go. There's a reason I'm not a marksman. But like I said just a moment ago, we are going lower right this time. And we'll see if we have a better pattern. And considering the 145 had more recoil, this is probably going to have more than that. You know, common sense there. It's definitely got more recoil. Still doesn't want to eject. However, I don't see where I hit, so I might have jerked. I'm going to go ahead and aim at the, still staying at that bottom right, but I'm going to go to the left side of it. This is already annoying. I seem to have missed, which doesn't make sense to me. I am gonna go up closer to like the center portion of this. I'm going to go in the white. Actually, I'm going to aim at the bottom of the center diamond. The big one. Wow. Way low. This 180 must not like 25 yards, so there's something to keep in mind. I'm hitting way low, so those last couple rounds definitely went under. That's gotta be me. There's no way that that's the rifle. I am gonna go in the white in between the high right diamond and then the center one. Right around the 3D 3L. If you're wanting to rapid fire this thing, I would probably go for a different model or something. Wow, yep, way low. 180 grain hits way low at 25 yards. Hey, we finally ejected around and it was a unspent one, so that's weird. We're gonna go ahead and get this last one in. I need to pay more attention to how it feels on the shoulder. But I might as well aim for center since we're hitting that low. So, there is that. Obviously, we missed a bunch there. It's interesting to see how low that is. So, that's definitely going to be something with the trajectory of this because it was consistently low, unless I am pulling that hard. Which is totally possible. And instead of going out and talking about that at the target, I'll do it right here. It was consistently low every shot. You know, my first two I obviously missed. I've got one at the very bottom. And it's low right. So that's something I would definitely want to inform the owner of this. And then also ask about how it's ejecting rounds for them, because it hasn't done it yet for me, other than the one full cartridge. But we're going to push this back to 50 yards, and we'll go from there. So let's see what these rounds do at that range. Let's get moving. Alrighty, everyone, we are completely loaded up with that 180. And my first shot, I'm definitely going to go for dead center. Just so we can kind of see where this is probably hitting at. And then we can adjust from there to hopefully hit a bullseye. Depending on if it's still extremely low like it was at 25 yards. I really don't like that it doesn't eject. It's very annoying. And I'm all the way at the bottom. So I'm going to come up about halfway between the two very top targets. Let's see where we are. And now we're just low right. That seems to be a big difference. But so far, it seems to be fairly consistent with this one. So I'm going to go a little bit to the left of the... Actually, I'm going to aim right at that top left diamond. And now we're just low left of that, so we need to come over here a little bit. And I don't really want to go up much higher. Guys, you shouldn't have to adjust this much to try to hit center. Hopefully, whomever this is sighted in for, it's accurate for them. Ooh, we got into the red. We're just lower right, so I'm gonna come up with my bar, which really sketches me out. And that was our last one, so I'm gonna let it be a surprise to me. But let's go talk about it. All right, everyone. I was aiming here, and that was my very first hit. So that's a lot to be off. 50 yards. They said they sighted it in for 100 to 150. So we'll see how it does once we get out to 100. But so far, it looks sporadic because I was moving every time. This hit, I was aiming about here, and then I aimed, I think that's when I aimed here and I hit here. Because then for this guy, I moved to about right here. And I got that one. For this, I was aiming up here to hit that. This is another good example of if you know where your rifle shoots at, you can shoot it at multiple yardages. We're gonna go ahead, move this out to 75, and we'll see what it does there. All right, 180 grain, 75 yards, round chambered. Let's get that fifth one in there. This does only hold 4 rounds, so it's 4 plus 1. And, you know, technically if you're out deer hunting, hopefully you only need 1 shot, right? That's supposed to be how it is. I am going to start about halfway between those two, the top two. Wow. My recommendation is maybe don't shoot 180 grain unless you sight it in for 180 grain. Technically, you should shoot whatever it is you're sighting in at, but also know where it's going to hit with others. I don't know what they used to sight this in. And I tell you, my shoulder's getting real tired of this 180 grain. Definitely has the most recoil, and we are consistent. I'm aiming at the very in between the top 2 diamonds, and because of how this thing's been shooting, I think I'm just gonna stay there so we can see how consistent it is. I'm still on paper. But like I said, my shoulder is getting real tired of this 180 grain. 124 has next to no kick, especially when compared to this. Consistency-wise, it's not bad. And we've got 1 round left. My shoulder is not liking this anymore. If you're out on a range day, I wouldn't suggest shooting 300 rounds of 180 grain. It doesn't feel good. But that's all she wrote. Yeah, and we're all down on the bottom. So there's quite a drop with that 180 grain. So let's go take a look so I can see a little better where it is, and so I'm not just looking down a scope to see where the hits are. So here's my hits. Inside of about a 3x3 square. I'm not sure what order they hit in, other than I think these two were my first two, 1 and 2. But I was aiming up here. That's a lot of drop for this. So I'm going to assume they did not sight it in with 180 grain. Hopefully that's not what they plan on shooting when deer season rolls around. But we're fairly consistent. If you know where it's going to shoot and hit, you're going to know where to aim. We're going to go ahead, push it back the rest of the way. Should be pretty close to 100 yards, and we will see how it does. Might as well bring 180 up to here is where I'm going to aim, because I know it's going to drop. Because otherwise I would have to bring it up and aim about here in order to hit that. Maybe I'll do that a couple times just to see if I can predict where it's going to hit accurately. But let's get things moved around and put some rounds through that gun. There's nothing to show. Not only did the camera cut out, but I completely missed. Now, whether I was high or low, I'm not sure. I would say 180 grains is not the way to go. Not only does it kick like a mother compared to the 145 or the 124, but it's, even though it's consistent, the amount that it drops is fairly ridiculous. You know, I was aiming up here and I still missed. So either it dropped more at this range. I can't see a bunch of paths where it would have come up through here. But that being said, definitely go for 145 or 124 and make sure you sight it in with whatever you're going to hunt with, obviously. Other than that, you know, if you enjoyed this, give it a like, subscribe to my channel. Alrighty, loaded up, 180 grain. Again, in between the top two diamonds. And actually, I think I'm going to try and get even with the top little bar that's on that after I do one, just to make sure it doesn't drop. Or make sure it does drop. But yeah, halfway between those two top diamonds. I pulled. I was definitely to the left of it. But let's see if we can tell where we hit. I think I'm just above that left diamond. Well, my target stand didn't move, so I know I didn't hit it. I'm not sure where I hit there, but I'm trying to go about level with the top thing and line it up with the middle of the target. Alright, a couple more rounds here. See how consistent we were. Yeah, okay. Last one. And I think we're all low left. I'm going back between the two diamonds. Alright. Also, for bolt removal, it's this button here. push it down and your bolt comes right out. That takes out anything we've really got to talk about on the gun itself. Overall, I don't think it's a bad scope. It's a nice clear picture, except for its 7 and 8 on there. Your release button for the clip, of course, is there. And I think you've got to push the button in order to slide this back in. You do not. So, and it goes. It's a smooth bolt when you don't have this in the way. And I'm seeing now you could take that off of there, crank it around to 9, and it's no longer in the way. That's probably what I would do were this mine. However, it is not. So we won't mess with that. We'll pass that on to the owner. And also, maybe sometime I'll get another chance to shoot this and do further than 100 yards. I'll try to get the same ammo and see how it compares. Maybe once you get out past 100 yards, this will do better. I'm not sure. I don't have the opportunity to shoot it much further than 100. So, with that being said, let's go talk about where my hits or misses are at. There's nothing to show. Not only did the camera cut out, but I completely missed. Now, whether I was high or low, I'm not sure. I would say 180 grains is not the way to go. Not only does it kick like a mother compared to the 145 or the 124, but even though it's consistent, the amount that it drops is fairly ridiculous. You know, I was aiming up here and I still missed. So either it dropped more at this range. I can't see a bunch of paths where it would have come up through here. But that being said, definitely go for 145 or 124 and make sure you sight it in with whatever you're going to hunt with, obviously. Other than that, you know, if you enjoyed this, give it a like, subscribe to my channel. I'll leave a link for my Etsy, Facebook, and Instagram in the description. And after that, we'll see you next time. Let's see what else we can get a review on. This one, overall, good gun. I think it's me more than anything as far as aiming. Other than that 180, kicks like a mule and drops a lot. So I would go for lower than that. And maybe if I could shoot that at a longer range, it might be different. But I don't know. But I'll see you next time. Alrighty, everyone. Here we are back from the range with that Mossberg Patriot. And we're just going to talk about a couple different things on this. And then after I've done all of the videos for covering each cartridge, then I will do another video that'll come out on the same day as the last cartridge, the 180 grain. Since I did shoot 124, 145, then I threw in 165 because I found out that's what they sighted it in with, and then the 180 grain. So we'll talk about all of those at one time. So right now we're just going to talk about the gun itself versus the cartridges. And I thought it performed all right. I didn't care for it on the scope when you got over to like 8 and 9. You had to be at just the right spot in order for your picture to be clear. Otherwise you got this weird kind of fog around the outside of it, of your picture. It's probably set up to be where you're supposed to be in a certain space, obviously. I didn't like that no cartridges ejected. I did finally get some to eject on the 165, but I am going to put this particular part at the end of each of the videos, and then I'll probably recap some of that. I do know that the owner of this firearm is planning on putting it into a lead sled and re-sighting it in. Whether they choose to stick with the 165 or not, I don't know. Because they claim they were hitting a little off at like around 150 yards, and at 100 yards I was hitting low. So that's for that video though. You'll see that when that comes out. However, let's go over where the components are on this. So on the bottom of the rifle here is where your clip goes. You got a button in front, that's for taking that out. Your safety is here on the side, and when you have it back, safety on, forward, safety off. To remove the bolt, obviously there's versions where you pull the trigger and it comes out. This has a little button over here. Pull that, it comes right out. This one has the little buttons on it for putting a sling on. You know, obviously if you're gonna go do some hunting with this and you're walking with it, you're gonna wanna carry it somehow. Maybe I'll do some more shooting with this later on, and I'll mess with the scope a little more and see how I like actually changing it versus leaving it on the set magnification of 7 times. Obviously, to go back in, you just line it back up and push it. You don't even have to push that button on the back in order to redo that. But overall, I'd say this is a decent firearm. Obviously, if you're wanting to quickly reload, this maybe isn't the route to go because of the ejecting issue, and obviously with it being off that little bit, it's not a huge deal because you're going to stick with whatever you sight it in with, and I would probably use the same bullet type also. Overall, yeah, decent firearm. I don't know that I would want to own one of these just because of the things I've ran across while shooting this one. But for an entry-level bolt action hunting rifle, it'll get the job done. But you know, wait a little while and I'll have the rest of the videos out for this. And then, like I said, we're going to do that last one where I talk about the cartridges side by side. But we'll see you then. In the meantime, go ahead and like, subscribe. I'll put the links to my Facebook, Instagram, my Etsy, and my website in the description. And as each video comes out, I will also put the links for those videos into the descriptions of each one. But we'll see you then.